Master Jirō Murai in Japan in the early 1900s. When he was terminally ill, he was able to reverse that illness and harmonize his whole being with some fasting, meditating, and some mudras, what we call mudras, which are finger poses. I started having debilitating migraine headaches. I tried everything. I tried taking painkillers and it just wasn't working. And then someone said to me, "Have you tried Jin Shin Jyutsu?" Within 5 minutes, it had all gone. In fact, I felt better than before the headache started. And that was it for me. This is a safety energy lock. We have 26 of them, 26 on the left side and 26 mirror images on the right side. So when we hold the elbows, this is safety energy lock number 19 of the 26. This is a position that helps us regenerate lots of, if not all, the energy in the body. And it just is really balancing as well. You know, when we cross the arms, we are balancing that energy on the left and the right side of the body as well. When the energy stagnates, those energy pathways that connect us from head to toes and toes to head, when they stagnate, they block. When we clear that, the river can move, it can flow. Even if someone doesn't have a hand, okay, this is another little bit of magic with Jin Shin Jyutsu.
How does the body communicate when something energetic needs to be released?
We might have forgotten how it feels to be in harmony because of all the niggles and aches and pains and attitudes of worry, fear, anger, grief, and effort. How does it feel to be in harmony? That might be quite a strange feeling.
When we get into an energy, a frequency that is dense at a low vibration, then our bodies also lose the ability to heal them itself, right?
Yes, where the atoms aren't vibrating, this represents as well stagnation. We are vibrating. We have trillions of cells in our body. Within the cell, we've got 100 trillion atoms. And what do those atoms do? They vibrate. We are one big vibration, a frequency. And when we harmonize that vibration, that frequency, we send out that frequency equally. Jin Shin Jyutsu encompasses all our experiences on every level. So it works on the physical, the mental, the emotional, the digestive, and the spiritual, all at the same time. Even 5 minutes, 1 minute each finger, and just feel the difference. You will be surprised at all of a sudden you just feel different.
What if the power to shift your mood, soothe your nervous system, and even relieve chronic pain was literally in your hand? And today we're joined by Astrid Kauffmann, a pioneer in reviving the ancient Japanese healing art of Jin Shin Jyutsu. So thank you so much, Astrid, for being here. I'm so grateful that you joined us today.
Well, thank you for having me. And you know, I'm basically a student of Jin Shin Jyutsu, and I suppose if there is any pioneering that was done, it was done by someone called Master Jirō Murai in Japan in the early 1900s, when he was terminally ill, and he was able to reverse that illness and harmonize his whole being with some fasting, meditating, and some mudras, what we call mudras, which are finger poses. And after a week of doing this in his family's cabin, when everyone thought that he was going to die, he walked down the hill from his family's cabin into the village again, fully recovered, fully well, and dedicated his life to studying what he called Jin Shin Jyutsu, which is the universal art of harmonizing the life energy in the body by using our hands. And literally translated from the Japanese, it's the art of the creator through the man of knowing and compassion, the human of knowing and compassion. And it starts with the fingers. It is as simple as holding your fingers, your thumb and each finger. So that is what I teach. That is what I love to share. And that is what I love to talk about. Anyone who knows me, the minute you ask me about what I do, well, have you got an hour?
How did you first discover Jin Shin Jyutsu? Like, I loved what you shared about the story of how it came to be, or rather how it came to be discovered. And I would love to hear, how did you first discover Jin Shin Jyutsu?
Yes, I think when we discover Jin Shin Jyutsu, we all have a story, and it's always very interesting to hear people's stories of how they heard about Jin Shin Jyutsu. I was just listening to yours, for instance. But my story with Jin Shin Jyutsu began when I was working in the city of London. I come from a corporate background, and I was in advertising in London for many years. But then I started studying complementary therapies. And while I was building my fledgling practice in complementary therapies, namely aromatherapy treatments, then I wanted to have a part-time job that could see me through while I was doing this. And I ended up in a financial institution in the presentation center there. And I hated every minute of it. But what it did teach me was that stress can wreak havoc on people, on individuals, on the body. And not only on the body, but on the mind, the emotions, and everything, all aspects of us. Stress can be really, really devastating, and in quite a short period of time. While I was there, I saw people age, I saw people put on weight, I saw people change personalities, not being able to deal with stress. Someone who was very young, very ambitious, very happy came in and changed personality and became very angry, for instance, and not very nice. But the reason why, what led me to Jin Shin Jyutsu was that I started having debilitating migraine headaches. So when we have migraine headaches, we're going against the grain, right? I didn't want to be there, but it was something that was helping me transition to my new life as a complementary therapist. And I tried everything. I tried taking painkillers. I tried taking painkillers to prevent headaches, and it just wasn't working. And then someone said to me, "Have you tried Jin Shin Jyutsu?" And I said, "Jin what? Never heard of it. Studied lots of things, never heard of it." And so I borrowed the book, went to the index, and it said, "For migraine headaches, hold the base of the thumb and the outside of the heels." And so I did that the next time I went to work, and I started getting these signals of a bad headache. And within 5 minutes, it had all gone. In fact, I felt better than before the headache started. And that was it for me. That was it. I just needed to dive right in and go on the courses, become a practitioner, study it and study it. And since then, I've never looked back. It has been a wonderful, wonderful journey, not only for me, but for those who have, have discovered Jin Shin Jyutsu and who have sort of studied with me, and where I have been able to share my journey and what I've learned, my knowledge, my practice, and everything to do with Jin Shin Jyutsu. Jin Shin Jyutsu, yeah.
So if somebody has the intention of, let's say, of working with their anxiety or with releasing stress, is there something that they have to keep in mind as to how to approach this a holding of their hands or their feet in a specific way? Like, there's one, is there a specific intention that we hold in our mind, or a preparation of how to, or is it literally just doing it?
Well, we have this, the wonderful thing is that we have this built-in system of what we call safety energy locks. And those safety energy locks are energy sites that are spheres of concentrated energy that are located appropriately on different parts of the body. So throughout our body, we've got these energy sites, these safety energy locks that we can use by placing our hands on the body. So we've got these batteries, these little batteries that help us on every level, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, digestively, and spiritually. And these little batteries come with jumper cables attached. So the battery of a car, when it's dead, needs jumper cables to restart it, right? Well, we've got all of that built in. We've got the little battery here. This is one of our little batteries. And we've got the jumper cables, which help recharge those rundown batteries. So we can simply hold these safety energy locks, and that's what we learn. We learn where they are, who they are, what they do, what they mean, everything. There is such depth to all of this in Jin Shin Jyutsu. But in essence, the wonderful thing about Jin Shin Jyutsu is no, you do not have to implement your mind with any of it. You can just hold, and then that will trigger, that will create a sense of calm and relaxation and well-being and re-energize. That is that a word? Re-energy, energizing, So that's one of the things that really struck me about Jin Shin Jyutsu, is that you can just place your hands and then everything just harmonizes. And I'm very lazy. I don't like to do something and keep thinking with my mind what it is I have to do, what it is I have to do. So for instance, if you like to meditate or you want to meditate, but you find that your mind is just getting in the way all the time, this is what happened to me. My mind is just always getting in the way of me finding this calm within a meditation. Well, I've got a great tip for you, and that is to simply sit quietly, hold your thumb, close your eyes, and then something miraculous happens. The meditation comes to you. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to think anything. Just hold that thumb and just wait, because what happens when you make that connection with the thumb, with either finger, any finger, then that harmonizes the breath. In essence, what we do with Jin Shin Jyutsu, what we do is we harmonize the breath. That breath that is the exhale and the inhale. And when that exhale and inhale is in harmony, we are in health. But what happens in daily life, with our stresses, modern day living, everything, our breath is not in harmony. We shallow breathe, or we don't exhale properly. We don't let go. And when we don't let go, we can't receive a breath. We don't take a breath, we receive a breath. And in that receiving of the breath, we clean the body and everything can work optimally. It's like this beautiful balance of exhale, inhale. And that's what, in essence, we strive for in Jin Shin Jyutsu, is just to be the balance of the breath.
Wow, I love this of receiving the breath, and I did see that with me and also with our dog. When I do Jin Shin Jyutsu, that there is this sigh, like an exhale that comes out as a deep relaxation. And you mentioned the thumb, you mentioned the elbow, like above the elbow. So these are specific safety energy locks.
Yeah, so this is a safety energy lock. We have 26 of them, 26 on the left side and 26 mirror images on the right side. So when we hold the elbows, this is safety energy lock number 19 of the 26. We've got safety energy lock 19. And literally, when we hold the elbows, we are doing so much. We are clearing the waistline, we're clearing the back, we're breathing, clearing the chest. And also, we're helping the feet. So this is not a defensive position. This is a position that helps us regenerate lots of, if not all, the energy in the body. And it just is really balancing as well. When we cross the arms, we are balancing that energy on the left and the right side of the body as well. So this is a very, very simple and yet important self-help hold that I talk a lot about.
Beautiful. So you said 26, right? 26 on either side. And then the mirror, in the sense, also applies to, it doesn't make a difference if we hold it on the left or the right, or is there a difference in which side of the body we work with?
Well, there can be a difference. And when you start Jin Shin Jyutsu, I think the best thing is just to let the hands go where they want to go, because Jin Shin Jyutsu is also an innate wisdom. And what we do as well when we learn Jin Shin Jyutsu, when we study Jin Shin Jyutsu, is we learn how to listen to this innate wisdom more consciously. When a baby is born, it sucks its thumb. Not only does it suck its thumb, it will suck whatever fingers it needs. It is listening to that innate wisdom of the body that is telling it, I need you to suck this so that I can recharge, so that I can clear my digestive system, so that I can sleep better, all of these things. A baby knows that, and we do too, because, when I look at people who don't know anything about Jin Shin Jyutsu, they are already practicing wonderful Jin Shin Jyutsu self-help positions. That's why I love to watch TV chat shows, because very often you can see what people are doing with their hands, and very often they are in beautiful Jin Shin Jyutsu positions, holding their fingers, placing their hands somewhere on the body, on a safety energy lock. They don't know what they're doing, but they are listening unconsciously. They are listening to that innate wisdom of the body. So what happens when we learn Jin Shin Jyutsu? Then we can do more of what we're doing so that we can get better results, but we can do it consciously so that we can get better results, so that we can change what it is that is disharmonizing us. And this is a lifelong study. However, we can start very simply by holding our fingers and by holding certain places on the body. So it is for everyone. And the best thing is that you don't need to create anything. It is already there. It is everyone. It is for everyone. Everyone has it. Every human being has it. Every animal has it. And you can work with that.
We'll be right back to the conversation in just a moment, so stay tuned. So a while back, my wife and me started experimenting with structured water, and I've got to say the results have been undeniable. We've noticed a clearer mind, more energy, and an overall sense of well-being that I didn't expect from something as simple as changing our water. And it's not just a feeling, science backs this up. Just to give you one example of one study that they've made is the impact on brain function. In the study, brain scans of a young woman showed that just 10 minutes after drinking analema water, her delta brainwaves shifted from below average coherence to normal, while her identical twin who drank regular water saw no change at all. That's the power of structured water at work. I only recommend what I've personally tested and found to work. If you want to try it yourself, check out the link in the description. Plus, use code SAVESOIL for 10% off as a thank you for supporting the channel. Now, back to the conversation. I love the example that you give with the baby who's sucking on its fingers or its hand. And what happens often is that the adults will tell the baby to stop.
Yes.
And so that's when the disconnection happens.
Yes.
And I think, is that also why now, I mean, nowadays especially, I see that people generally, in my own family and in the surroundings that I've seen, the families that lived around my friends' families, I saw a lack of touch. And my parents also told me later that they regret one thing, and that is that they did not touch their children, hold their children enough. Is that one of the reasons that why we see so many people emotionally dysregulated?
Yes, I think so. I think so. I think that lack of touch is a very important factor to the state of the world today, and everyone on their phones and technology. Technology is wonderful. We can do what we're doing here. But the thing is that we need we need touch as humans from each other and from ourselves in fact. So a great start is to get connected back with our own self by becoming more aware of what it is that we've been given that we can use to get us back into harmony. And one of the questions that we might ask is, well, this lack of touch, why is it that we stop touching others, hugging others? Is it because of fear? Is it because of worry? Is it because of grief? Is it because of something else? Because that's where everything starts. Everything starts with what we call attitudes. Attitudes are a fixed response, what I call a fixed emotion. You know, as human beings, we are meant to experience worry, fear, anger, grief, effort, or trying to. And that's a natural human thing to have to experience those emotions. But the problem is when these emotions become stuck, they become attitudes, and then they go deeper and they become something bigger. So they become a denser version of themselves, and then they create symptoms, disharmonies, which create symptoms in the body. So this is that connection. But when we know that when we are worried, we can hold our thumb. When we are afraid, we can hold our index finger. When we are angry, we can hold our middle finger. When we are sad or grieving, oh, a human condition that none of us escapes. When we are grieving, we can hold our ring finger. And when life is an effort, or we are trying too hard to do something and nothing seems to work, we can hold our little finger. Well, then life can change. Our perspective can change. Our reality can change. Because when our reality is an effort, we can hold our little finger and it can change to an effortless reality, because an effortless reality is me in harmony versus me in disharmony.
And you just mentioned that there is a worry, fear, grief, these emotions that are part of the human experience. They have something to teach us. So, what would you say to those who are listening to this right now and they might be going through grief, they might be going through pain, they might experience certain fears, and they just can't see that this has any point, there's any point to this, there's any purpose. Why do I have to go through this?
Mm. Mm. When we are in that state of being and we are submerged in an attitude or many attitudes, because very often it's a mixture of attitudes, we just can't get that perspective. But when we start taking the edge off the pain, then something expands. And when that expansion happens, we can get a slightly different perspective. And the more that we hold our fingers, especially the little finger, we get a different perspective on things, and then we can start moving out of this place where we are stuck. So Jin Shin Jyutsu really, because when you are in a place, you can't imagine how you can get to this place. It's a big jump. But when we have something that we can start focusing on, and I say focusing on, and when I say focusing on, I mean just hold. I can hold my thumb, I can hold my index finger or my other fingers. You can just focus on that. And then after a little while, you might find, okay, I feel slightly different. And this is what happens with so many of my students, my clients, I feel different. That is what they all say. That's what we all say. After practicing Jin Shin Jyutsu, I feel different, but in a good way. I just feel different. I feel more harmonized. I feel good, And it might take a bit of time, but the effect of Jin Shin Jyutsu, practicing Jin Shin Jyutsu, practicing the fingers is cumulative, which means that if you do it a little bit every day, it's like cleaning. We clean the outside of our bodies every day. We have a shower, put on the makeup, clean clothes. But what happens with the inside of the body? When do we clean the inside of the body? Yes, we can detox. We can look at what we eat, of course. But when do we have a shower internally? And Jin Shin Jyutsu gives you that internal cleaning. It's like your internal shower every day, just holding your fingers, practicing the hold, practicing an exercise. Simple as that.
That could be just a couple of minutes. Or is there a specific time frame that you would say 5 minutes of, let's say, holding a finger, and then 5 minutes of maybe going into a different part of the body? Is there something that that you recommend?
A sort of guide, yes.
Yeah, or
it's very individual. It's very individual. It depends on the individual's needs, the time that you have. You can hold fingers all day, every day if you wanted to, and you can make it part of your life. When we have our hands free, we can hold a finger, we can hold a thumb. It'll work whether our awareness is within or whether our awareness is outwardly projected. So when I watch television, I hold my fingers. So I am harmonizing while I'm watching television. While I'm waiting for a bus, sometimes it takes a long time for a bus to appear, but I'm never bored because I can hold my fingers. While waiting for the dentist, I can hold that index finger and just calm my nerves, So I can always, always, always hold my fingers. And you can get into the habit of holding your fingers in many, many different situations and hold them for longer than you'd ever thought possible. Not necessarily consciously, but just as a matter of course, when your hands are free. So as a guide, I would say 2 minutes each finger is a great whole treatment, complete treatment. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We all have 10 minutes in our day to hold the fingers, to sit quietly maybe. And if you're going through a stressful period, even in the office, you can close the door or go somewhere. I used the bathroom at the office to find some quiet time, but it had such amazing results. And just find a place where you can sit for 10 minutes or even 5 minutes, 1 minute each finger, and just feel the difference. And every day, do it as a matter of course, and you will start feeling the difference. And then you will be surprised at all of a sudden, you just feel different. It might take you by surprise that I don't feel so worried anymore, or I don't feel so hurt anymore, or I don't feel so angry anymore, Or, if someone says something, you don't react the same way. And these are the little changes throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the years that change you and make life a little bit easier and more fun to live.
Incredible. I
And someone,
really,
and people say in disbelief, they say, really? Is it that simple? Yeah, it can be. But you can't just think about it. You've just got to do it. Just do it. And then just do it. And if you've got a child, show them the fingers. Show them the thumb for a tummy ache. I love teaching kids Jin Shin Jyutsu because they love this game. If you have a tummy ache, Tommy, hold your thumb. And then he comes back and I ask him, Tommy, how's your tummy aches? Oh, I don't have tummy aches anymore. Do you hold your thumb? Yep, I hold my thumb. And I like it. Or children who have anger management issues, get them to hold their middle finger. It'll work, You can do it with them as a game. Get your children to hold their middle fingers and do it with them. Okay, Tommy, let's play a game. We're going to hold our middle fingers. Okay, first one, then the other. And now you can tell me, how does that feel? Keep chatting to them or whatever. But you can do that.
I love this because a lot of people now, when they wait for the bus or for the dentist, they tend to just grab their phone and they have maybe the thought of feeling the anxiety, feeling the stress that my appointment is late or the bus is late, or, this person has just sent me this message and I am really angry. And then we kind of just distract ourselves in our phones. And instead of that, if we can just start holding our fingers, this,
Yeah.
I mean,
and we're so sucked up by everything that goes on with other people and everything in the world, and we're just so sucked in by it that we've just forgotten, how do I feel today? And what are my thoughts today, rather than taking in everyone else's thoughts. How do I feel about my day? Why am I so angry? I have nothing to be angry about. And yet, all of that is building up inside of us. Everything that we see, hear, touch, feel is affecting us. So cleaning that out, harmonizing who we are, and then we go out and we affect the world as well. So if we go out in a harmonized state, we affect others to be more harmonized. We affect our pets to be more harmonized. I've seen that connection between a pet owner and pet. When there is a disharmony in the pet owner, it can become a symptom in the pet. The pet will react to that disharmony. Equally, that pet will react to that harmony. Children do that as well. Spouses do that as well. People who are close to us, they react to they mirror what we are giving out. So when we are in harmony, when we harmonize that anger, it changes everything. It changes that relationship. It changes that situation. And it can be quite quick. I remember a client of mine who came in to see me, and she said that her husband had become very grumpy, and she didn't know why. There was no reason, seemingly, but he was very grumpy, and she didn't know what to do about it, but it was affecting her as well. So she said, what can I do? And I said, well, just hold your middle finger. Just hold your middle fingers and do that every day for a little while. And the next time she came in to see me, she said she'd done it. And the minute or a little while after that she was holding her middle fingers, her husband just sort of changed back into his lovely self. So this is a little experiment that you can do. If you have someone who's grumpy around you, just hold your middle finger and see how it affects not only you, but that person as well. Because sometimes you can say to someone, could you please just hold your middle finger so that you're not so angry? But they might say, what on earth are you talking about? You're a bit, So instead of that, you hold your middle finger to affect not only you, but them as well.
This is
It's
so
the magic of
beautiful.
harmony. It's the magic of harmony.
Yes, I think this can
So
be
we are
really helpful.
energy. Yeah, we are energy. So we give out a frequency. All of our cells, this is what I love to teach in classes, because what is energy? I like to start with what is energy, and energy is basically a frequency. So we are vibrating we have trillions of cells. First, that's the first thing. We have trillions of cells in our body. That is a fundamental our basic makeup is the cell, physical makeup. We can see that. We can see that in a microscope. But within the cell, we've got 100 trillion atoms. And what do those atoms do? They vibrate. They vibrate. And this vibration of all these 100 trillions at 100, I get so excited, so I stumble over my words, but 100 trillion cell atoms within a cell, and we've got trillions of cells. We are one big vibration, a frequency. And when we harmonize that vibration, that frequency, we send out that frequency equally. We send out that frequency that is not vibrating. So, it can vibrate at a denser level, it can vibrate at a higher level. For me, when the atoms vibrate at a denser sort of, they're not vibrating, frequency, lower frequency, higher frequency. That is the science behind energy, is that vibration, is that frequency. So Jin Shin Jyutsu is scientific. We are scientific. It's just that it is also philosophical, psychological, and physiological. So it's everything. It encompasses everything. Jin Shin Jyutsu encompasses all our experiences on every level. And the best thing is that when we practice Jin Shin Jyutsu, on whatever level, whether it's just our fingers, whether it's doing an exercise, whether it's doing a complete sequence of holds, which we call flows, to harmonize something, it works on every level at the same time. So it works on the physical, the mental, the emotional, the digestive, and the spiritual, all at the same time. That's why we feel so good. That's why we feel so different when we practice Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Yeah, and what you just shared, the science of the energy, it's also the science of disease, right? Like when
Yes.
we get into an energy, a frequency that is dense at a low vibration, then our bodies also lose the ability to heal them itself, right?
Yes, because that vibration where the atoms aren't vibrating, this represents as well stagnation. So when the atoms are vibrating, whoa, everything is moving. Okay. And I'm not talking about hyperactivity. I'm not talking about too much moving, because there can be too much, there can be too little. So when someone is hyperactive, that's also a disharmony. So what Jin Shin Jyutsu does is when we adjust the energy, we harmonize, we balance. So there's too much, we balance. There's too little, we balance. But the premise, the foundation of disease, is stagnation. So when the energy stagnates, those energy pathways that connect us from head to toes and toes to head, when they stagnate, they block, they stagnate. When there is a blockage in one part of the river, then that dams up nothing can move, right? That's the same with our energy pathways. So when we clear that stagnation, that damming, that where it's jammed up, this is basically what we do in Jin Shin Jyutsu. When we clear that, the river can move, it can flow, it can feed everything within the river and on the banks and everywhere. There is balance in that movement. But when it's stagnated and nothing can move, well, what happens to the river? Everything dies. Everything dies within that river. It becomes a lake and it becomes stagnant. And that's what happens within our bodies. So Jin Shin Jyutsu is life, it's movement, it's it's getting things to move, keeping things moving optimally. And guess what? Because of that, it is anti-aging. So when you keep things moving, you keep aging at bay. Aging is when things start stagnating, can't move. We sit, we don't move. And then, of course, we exercise and things help. But with Jin Shin Jyutsu, we can keep things moving. We can keep the body flexible and strong and centered and the joint supple, all of these things that affects us when we get older.
And now that you've worked with clients and you taught people how to help themselves, heal themselves, and what would you say, how does the body start, once we know the science, once we understand the locks and what's happening there, how does the body communicate when something energetic needs to be released? Is there specific, you might not always get physical pain in those areas?
That's a really, really lovely question, because as we become aware of our body in, I should say, not just our body, but our whole being in harmony, how does it feel to be in harmony, to be in harmony? We might have forgotten how it feels to be in harmony because of all the niggles and aches and pains and attitudes of worry, fear, anger, grief, and effort. How does it feel to be in harmony? That might be quite a strange feeling. And very often when my clients first experience that, they will become quite worried. Oh my God, I just feel so relaxed, or, oh my goodness, my mind, I'm not thinking about anything. How is that possible? So it can be quite a revelation to be in harmony. So when we become used to being in harmony, when we don't really have worries or stresses or any symptoms, heart palpitations or tension in the back or pain in the back or pain in my hip or pain in my knee or pain in my foot, or, it doesn't have to, as you say very rightly, it doesn't have to be a pain, but we can become more aware of when my body is speaking to me and I feel a tension building up. So when a tension is building up, or I start feeling tired, or I start feeling sleepy and my mind is not working very well, then that is a good indication that maybe you need to just stop and regenerate, reharmonize, hold some fingers, sit quietly, give yourself some space, give yourself some time, give yourself the gift of time and space. And oh my goodness, after 20 minutes, usually it's about 20 minutes to just get everything moving again, maybe less, you'll feel like a different person again. You feel that harmony come back. And yes, sometimes it takes longer, but the question that you asked is all about becoming aware. Jin Shin Jyutsu is about becoming aware, and the deeper your awareness is of how your body, your being is in harmony and disharmony, the better you are able to listen to those signals and then do something about it with Jin Shin Jyutsu. even if it is only breathing, because the key to Jin Shin Jyutsu is the breath and the hands. So you can just place your hands and the breathing will change. Or if you can't stop working with your hands, for instance, you can become aware of your breath. What is your breath doing? Breathe in, breathe out. Mary Burmeister, who single-handedly brought Jin Shin Jyutsu to the West, she was one of Master Jirō Murai's most dedicated students. She was also a Japanese-American lady who brought Jin Shin Jyutsu to the West and started teaching it, started practicing it. And she says we can practice 36 aware breaths. Now, even if it's not 36 aware breaths, if you become aware of your breathing, then you will feel how that changes your body. When I'm sitting at my computer and all of a sudden I've been sitting there for a couple of hours, really focused on what I'm doing, and all of a sudden I start feeling like a feeling of anxiety in my chest, I've realized that's because I've been sitting there shallow breathing, not breathing properly, and it's all starting to get stuck in my chest. So I get up, breathe, move about, stretch my shoulders or whatever it is I need to do a little bit of something, Jin Shin Jyutsu, and then I'm all fine. But if we're not aware of that, it'll go deeper and then we won't breathe properly. And that is what starts causing that vicious cycle that we need to reverse and get out of. Really nice question.
I love first of all, I love the simplicity that it's very easy, accessible. Whoever is listening to this has something to start with today. And if somebody would like to go deeper, what would it be the best way for them to get in touch or learn more from you?
Well, my website, which is flowsforlife.com, has over 300 blog posts. So every blog post is geared to dealing with an issue. So I've also got on the website an A to Z index. And so that is a place to sort of have a look, have a sort of rummage around, as it were, and see what is there. And I also have a YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel shows you different flows, different sequences, different holes, different ways that you can work on yourself, and different holes for different things. Now, those are two great areas where you can start working with, Jin Shin Jyutsu. And I also, on the website, I offer a free guide that tells you what the fingers are good for. So it's a PDF illustrated workbook, and you can download that. And when you download it, you can also sign up for my newsletter. And every week I send a new blog post or a new video or a tip, or, it's a great way to be motivated or to inspire you to do something, to work on yourself. So that is a great place. Those are great places to start. And if you want more information, if you want to learn how Jin Shin Jyutsu works and how the energy works through the body, what the specific exercises are and all of that, and the safety energy locks and lots of other things, lots of different aspects of Jin Shin Jyutsu, well, then I offer in-depth Jin Shin Jyutsu self-help courses, which are pretty comprehensive, but at the same time give you the tools to work on yourself and also to, have the ability to help your loved ones or your pets or whatever. So it gives you a complete outline of how to work on yourself mostly, because that's where I am at the moment. I love to share Jin Shin Jyutsu as self-help. And then if you want to practice more Jin Shin Jyutsu every week or regularly, I also have a weekly group practice group in a closed community. So there's lots to move on with Jin Shin Jyutsu if you want to learn more.
Wonderful. Yeah, whoever is keen to learn more, make sure to visit the website. I'll link it in the description below, and let us know also in the comments down below what you resonated with the most, what you found helpful, if you try it also, let us know your experience. And yeah, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to have you here, and I'm so excited to see how the audience reacts to it. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Stephen. It was lovely to speak to you. And yeah, I've been practicing Jin Shin Jyutsu for 26 plus years, and my passion and my love for it have not decreased at all. In fact, it just increases with time, because it is just something that is just so wonderful to become aware of, and something we don't have to create, something that we can use at any time, something that is so simple that we can teach our children how to use it, and something that we can do because we've got our hands 24/7. So we never forget where our hands are. So we can use it at any time. And even if someone doesn't have a hand, okay, this is another little bit of magic with Jin Shin Jyutsu. Let's say someone has lost a thumb or a finger or the whole hand. And if they usually will have a prosthetic hand, okay? Now, the physical hand or the finger might be gone, but the actual energy is still there. So if you have a prosthetic thumb or finger or a hand, you can work with that just as if you would be working with your own hand, because the energy is there. So we can still work with the energy, which will help the rest of the body by holding that prosthetic, or even if the finger's not there, we can hold the energy that is supposedly there. Okay.
I love
Little bit of extra magic. So we always have our hands that we can work with, whether they're our body's hands or, a helping hand that is there, because we've lost, someone's lost their hand or whatever.
Yeah, it makes me, this conversation really, first of all, I love the energy part, how you explained the vibrations within the body. I think this is something that our audience will love. And then how to kind of liberate and move the energy, let it flow again with the river. I think that was really, really, really nice. And also brushing our teeth every day, taking a shower every day, but not cleaning our emotions every day. So that's also really, really beautiful. And now this working with our subtle body instead of just the physical body. And yeah, just Jin Shin Jyutsu it's for me, what I feel is that there's not really any area that cannot be worked with or worked on or helped with Jin Shin Jyutsu. It's like, if it's pregnancy, if it's children, if it's animals, it seems
it
like
is safe. It is safe for everybody from 0 to 100 and plus. It's safe for the elderly and infirm. It's safe in pregnancy, but for babies and the elderly and infirm, especially, less is more. So you just do simple things. If you work on your fingers, you can work on them anytime. Anyone can work on their fingers. And of course, the other thing that I do have to say is that Jin Shin Jyutsu is not a substitute for any medical diagnosis, treatment, or supervision, but it is a wonderful way to support the body, for instance, to prepare the body before surgery, to help with recovery, to help speed up the recovery, and to help with any sort of medical treatments as well, to support the body during medical treatments that might really challenge the body, like cancer treatments or anything like that. So Jin Shin Jyutsu is a wonderful complement to medical treatments as well. So no, you can't. I mean, it is just all good news. It is all good news. And, you know, it's a universal art available to each and every one of us. And it has its origins in Japan, which is why it's got this fancy name called Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Thank you so much.